In this video, we will talk about what is language, its definitions. For that, I am using these two books. The first is The Study of Language by George Yule. This is a very important book for the students, that you can use this book, The Study of Language by George Yule. From this book, I will pick a few points, and from the second, we have John Lyon's Language and Linguistics. It's an introduction. Both books are important books for the study of language, or what is language, or the development of language. Different types of aspects you will find in these two books. So if you have these books in your library, please go and consult those books for further study. So what is language? If you look at the language, you will find that language is nothing but a medium of communication. So here a few points I have listed. For example, a form of human communication. We use language for communication. It is a very strongest medium. Here you can see that the strongest medium of communication. There is no other medium of communication. Complex types of emotions, complex types of ideas we can share through the language, and hence this becomes a very important feature, strongest medium of communication. It is a complex system, uses sounds, symbols and gestures. As we have seen that language uses sounds, symbols and gestures, and it is a complex type of system of communication. So basically it is a system of communication which is a complex system. Then language is arbitrary in nature. Say for example, English is an arbitrary language where you do not find any connection or any relevance between the pronunciation and its spelling. What you spell does not mean you will pronounce the same. So there is a difference. So these type of systems are included in the language, and hence it becomes an arbitrary language. All the languages we can say that are arbitrary languages. Next we have produce immense type of sentences with a limited set of sounds and symbols. This is the basic feature of language. So any language has the capacity to produce so many sentences with the limited set of words, with the limited set of letters in that language. You can create any language with the limited set of symbols or sounds or letters or words. If you look at the languages around the world, there are 6,000 languages around the world till date, and in India, if you consider India, there are 1599 mother tongues listed in India in the 2001 census. There are major 122 languages, and again 22 languages have given special status of language in Indian Constitution. So around these languages there are so many dialects or so many mother tongues listed in India. So this is the largest survey we can say that in India, made in 2001, and it listed 1599 languages or 99 mother tongues around the whole region. So this is what is the language, or the basic things or basic features of language. Now let's understand the different types of definitions of language, because it is very difficult to define language, but there are some attempts of defining language, and we have some famous linguists with us. We will consider their definitions. Here we have very first Edward Sapir, and he defined language in the book called Language in 1921. So what did Sapir say? Language is a purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions and desires by means of voluntarily produced symbols. Now he lays emphasis on symbols, and again according to him it is the medium of communication. So instinctive and non-instinctive, and it is also a human medium of communication. So this distinction is very important. Human language is the product of human beings, and hence humans use language for communicating what ideas, then emotions and desires by means of voluntarily produced symbols. So what do we do when we use language? We produce symbols. So certain kind of words, we use certain kind of sounds, we use certain kind of gestures, we use certain kind of symbols to communicate the meaning, to communicate the message to other person, and the emphasis of this definition is on symbols used for communication by human beings. So this is the basic we can say that the definition of language made by Edward Sapir. He is a famous linguist. Next definition we have Bernard Bloch and George Leonard Trager, and they have given this definition in Outline of Linguistic Analysis, the book published in 1942. And what did he say? These both guys say a language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which social group cooperates. Now their emphasis is on social group. And what is it? It is arbitrary vocal symbols. So language is nothing but arbitrary vocal symbols. Why arbitrary? Because there is no connection in the pronunciation or the different types of aspects of language. So there are rules in the language, there is grammar, but this grammar or rules also have exceptions. So this is arbitrary, no direct connection between what you use in the language and what you write in the language. So writing or transcript is a different thing, and the sound production is different thing. So he says that basically it is arbitrary vocal symbols means of which social group cooperates. Now he lays emphasis on social group. So language is the product of society or the human beings rather than individual human beings. It is the product of we can say that the society or social group. So this social interaction in social group is very important, or it is the major means of language in the society, and it uses for cooperation or communication among this group. So this is the definition made by Bloch and Trager. Both are American linguists, famous American linguists. Next we have Robert A. Hall, and in his book Essay on Language, he says about the language is the institution whereby humans communicate and interact with each other by means of habitually used oral, auditory, arbitrary symbols. Now again, language is nothing but the use of symbols, and it is oral, auditory. Oral auditory means we use language, we produce sounds, and we also listen to those sounds, and then we react, or then we interact, or then we reply after listening. So it is a medium of communication, communicate and interact with each other. Again, the emphasis is on each other, means in social group, means of habitually used oral, auditory, arbitrary. Again he is saying language is arbitrary, these symbols are arbitrary. So it is very difficult to find the one-to-one connection between pronunciation and symbols or letters or sound system. So it is arbitrary. Why? Because different languages have different set of letters, sounds or symbols. Say for example, in English there are 44 sound. If you think about Marathi or Hindi, 50 sounds are there in Marathi, and Hindi there might be around 49 sounds. So this type of things you will find in the language, and the social groups use those sounds very effectively to communicate very complex type of ideas and complex type of emotions. So let's move to the next definition. Here we have Robert Henry Robbins, and in his book General Linguistics and Introductory Survey, which is published in 1979, languages are symbol systems almost wholly based on pure or arbitrary convention. Now again he lays emphasis on the convention. Why convention? Because language has developed from so many years, from so many centuries. So if you go in the history of language development, you will find that it has thousands of years of history, and hence he is saying that arbitrary convention. Again he considers language the arbitrary system of symbols. So symbol systems almost wholly based on pure or arbitrary convention. So this is a very small definition, and in this definition he talks about the symbols used in language, or language is nothing but a symbol system. So system, when we consider a language as system, we have a very broad perspective or very broad view of that language, which includes sounds, which includes letters, words, sentences, and we also have we can say that the system of grammar, the system of rules, the set patterns of different types types of things in that particular language. So this is the definition. Next definition we have here, or this is the last definition of Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is a celebrated linguist of our time, and in his book Syntactic Structures, published in 1957, he says about language that from now on I will consider a language to be a set of finite or infinite sentences, each finite in length and constructed out of a finite set of elements. Now, for Noam Chomsky, language is nothing but a set of finite or infinite sentences. How finite and infinite sentences? If you look at this definition, you will find that it is a finite set of elements, each finite in length, constructed out of this set of elements. Now, the simple meaning of this definition is that Noam Chomsky talks about language as the infinite set of sentences which is composed or which is constructed or which is made from the finite set of words or finite set of sounds, finite set of symbols, finite set of letters. So this is a very simple definition, and for Noam Chomsky, language is nothing but the infinite set of sentences. We can produce a number of sentences, thousands of sentences through this finite set of words, finite set of symbols in a language. So all these are the definitions of a language. I hope you understood all this definition. So if you have any problem, any query, you can comment below in the comment section. We will discuss all those problems or all those queries. So thank you very much for watching this video. Let's meet in the next video.